Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. All right, my good friend Mitch Harper over at the KSL Sports Zone yesterday got a chance to catch up with Kanon Catchings in the open locker room. One of the key features of the NCAA tournament, by the way, they still have an open locker room. How many other sporting events in this day and age outside of the NFL offer that? Very few. I know that the NBA does, I think, still. Maybe, well, okay, I guess in college sports, it doesn't happen. But the bigger point is, he caught up with Kanon Catchings and asked the $1 million question. Kanon, you going to be able to play on Thursday? And he said, yeah, I am. And Mitch followed up because he kind of waffled on it, said, hey, I've been gearing up for this. He said, so you're playing? He said, yes. Now, could he be lying through his teeth? I guess possibly, but this is a kid, I think, Kanon Catchings, who's pretty open about what he is hoping to accomplish. And could he, speaking of Kanon Catchings and his shot making ability, be a key differentiator, the proverbial X factor that could lift BYU in this game against VCU? I just talked about the fact that VCU is going to come in with a pressure defense that is going to try and force BYU into bad situations. A way to beat that is to have an elite shot maker who can take it from anywhere on the court, bury a three, and say, yeah, try pressuring that. Kanon Catchings has showed that at points this season. And I think based on the time he has sat out here, if he's not chomping at the bit to play in this type of an environment, I'd be floored. His best performance of the season by far was that Baylor game. Remember, there were 20 plus NBA executives, coaches, scouts, etc., at least in the Marriott Center that night. And what did Kanon Catchings do? He went out and said, hey, you may be here to watch Jaeger Demon. You may be here to watch VJ Edgecombe. I'm going to insert my name into the conversation. My name's Kanon Catchings. And he had an absolutely phenomenal performance. Remember, he was hitting from three, rising with authority, and just nailing shot after shot after shot. If BYU can get that type of Kanon Catchings in this game today against VCU, good night, Irene. It is over. I will say it right now. That type of performance mixed up with everything else that BYU can offer with Richie Saunders, Jaeger Demon, the interior presence of guys like Keba Keita, Fousseyni Traore. If Kanon Catchings can come in, and he'll likely come off the bench at the very best, if he can offer that shot-making ability and be able to hit threes and force the defense to focus on him and open up the lane for his teammates and add that spacing element to this BYU offense, yeah, BYU is going to be riding high in this game, and his ability to impact it, I think, is understated at this point. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Let me know in the comments. Am I wrong about thinking that Kanon Catchings could be that X factor that makes this a laugher for BYU? A lot of people out there, I'm with them. The spread has been hovering around 3 points. Our friends at FanDuel have had it in that realm all week long. A lot of the metrics in this game indicate it's closer to what you would expect from an 8-9 matchup versus a 6 versus 11. They're a Ken Palm top 30 team. Speaking of the VCU Rams, BYU's 24th. The net ratings are very similar. There's a lot in this game that screams it's a whole lot closer than 6 versus 11 would have you believe. Like I said, it's more of kind of a spread, and the overall metrics indicate you can see this in an 8-9 game where it's essentially supposed to be a 50-50 split. I think the key factor here is a guy like Kanon Catchings. If he can do what he did against the likes of Baylor, and I'm not expecting him to come out and blitz VCU for 30 points. If he does, awesome. But if he even comes out and contributes maybe 10, 15 points, some nice rebounds, provides link-up play, and like I said, that shot-making ability that is kind of his calling card at this point in his career, that's good enough for BYU, and that'd be a major, major impact. VCU is going to have to account for him. They're going to have to account for 10 other players on this BYU roster in their game plan. That's a lot to digest. It's a lot to, like I said, digest, ingest, and understand, okay, each of these players, what are they trying to do? I mentioned it earlier. BYU can throw wave after wave of lineup at this VCU team, and I think that is going to be a major factor in this game because the ability to mix and match lineups with Kevin Young and his offensive mind, that's a tantalizing prospect. And you add a shot maker, the quality of a Kanon Catchings to that equation now, that means they're all the more dangerous. So I'm looking forward to this. I want to see Kanon step up in a big moment. These are where the lights are absolutely brightest. I have seen many a guy make money in the NBA draft from their performances in March Madness. Now, it's not just about March Madness, and David Locke says this all the time. If an NBA team is going to draft a guy based off of 3 or 4 games in the month of March in the NCAA tournament, they're fools to think that those 4 games are replicable. You have to obviously gauge the full season's worth of work alongside that March Madness presence. But the one thing the March Madness offers is an elevated platform, an elevated stage to perform on for these athletes. And that's what Canon Catchings, I hope, understands about this. That's what I hope Jaeger Demon understands about this. In fact, I hope the entire roster for the BYU basketball program understands what this platform is all about. BYU has been talked about glowingly in many respects for the performance they put on down the stretch run of the season. 9 straight wins, a lot of them against Q1 variety, and BYU's 8 Q1 wins have seen them vault from what was bubble status a month ago to being, I said, firmly in the field, now a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. Go out and make the people who believed in you, the NCAA selection committee, guys like Joe Lunardi, make them look smart. And that's, I think, the whole goal here for this BYU squad is to go out there and put on a performance that shows, once again, this is a different BYU. This is a new look BYU. The Kevin Young era of BYU basketball, yeah, they do the punking. They ain't getting punked anymore. I look forward to this, and I really do think what Canon Catchings could offer could be a major, major impact to this game. I hope he delivers. I hope he steps up. This is a kid who has battled through a lot this year. Injury, obviously, downturns in play, being benched earlier this season after being a starter to start the year. He has battled back from adversity all season long, and now is the time, I hope, that he seizes the opportunity, if it's given to him, to go out there and add his name to an already strong BYU roster and remind people, hey, I'm also a factor in this. That will force teams, if you do advance, like Wisconsin or a Montana or down the line, whoever you might play, hey, we got to watch out for this kid in addition to everything else BYU brings to the table. I love it. I love the fact that this versatility on this roster is going to, at least in my mind, benefit BYU. And having Kanon Catchings only makes them deeper, only makes teams have to think twice about their overall game plan, adding another name to the scouting report. Everything about this is a net positive in my mind for the BYU basketball program, and makes me feel only bolder and bolder about my decision, my pick that BYU does advance. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park unless you get a monster performance from a guy like Canon Catchings. But if BYU handles their business, I see this as a game BYU wins. I'll say right now, 76-68. Like, it's not going to be super tight, but it's also not going to be completely comfortable either. And you don't want that. You want to see your team go out there and fight against adversity. You want to see this team battle through. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to it. I love March Madness. I love sitting down and watch all these games, and it's even better when BYU is a part of the mix. But more importantly, I want to see BYU be a bigger factor than just one game in March. That's the other thing about this. I want to see them put on a little bit of a run here. Hey, even if he advanced just the one round, I will take it because it shows progress from this BYU basketball team.